Today we're spotlighting three of Australia's most fascinating wildlife gems. One is wrapped in myth. They say it never drinks water. One is so rare you'd be lucky to ever see it in the wild. And the last? Let's just say it was central to a Nobel Prize in physics. Sort of. There are even a few legends that try to explain their unusual traits. We've included those too, so hang on if that suits your palate. The numbat is a cute, squirrel-like animal with striking stripes along its back. It lives in the eucalyptus woodlands of Australia, where it prefers areas scattered with fallen logs, perfect hiding spots for its favourite meal. While it technically has around 50 tiny teeth, they're mostly useless. Numbats don't chew much, even though they could. Instead, they rely on a long, sticky tongue to slurp up more than 20,000 termites a day. A remarkable diet for an animal not exactly built for eating them. By locals, the numbat is known as walpurti, or the banded anteater. It's not a part of the anteaters and is more closely related to Tasmanian devils and quolls. Instead of having a pouch like other well-behaved marsupials, it doesn't have one, and joeys have to cling to the belly fur of the mother. She has a patch of crimped golden hair protecting her teats, and when the joeys are strong enough to climb up, they get to ride her back. Although numbats aren't built for brute force, they do have fairly strong claws. But with many termites living inside tough, cement-like mounds, it's usually not worth the effort to dig them open. Instead, numbats forage for termites that are closer to the surface, often in rotting logs or just under the soil. Their mouths are lined with ridged pads that help scrape termites off their tongue as they feed. Since termites have soft exoskeletons, numbats don't need to chew much, and their digestive systems are relatively simple compared to other insectivores. Another clever adaptation numbats have developed is adjusting their activity to match the behavior of termites. Since they depend entirely on when termites are active, numbats are, in a way, temperature dependent. In the heat of summer, they forage in the early mornings and late afternoons to avoid the harsh sun. During winter, when the temperature is lower, they shift their feeding to mid-morning through early afternoon. If conditions get especially tough, they can even enter a state of torpor to conserve energy. As for water, their kidneys aren't particularly specialized for retaining it, and for a long time people believed numbats never drank, that they got all the moisture they needed from termites. But that myth has been debunked. Zoos have shared images of numbats happily slurping water with their long tongues. The pattern and colour on the numbat's back and tail are said to come from a camping trip a long time ago. The numbat and a parenti lizard were camping together, and for fun, they decided to paint each other's backs with colourful patterns. First, the numbat dipped a stick into paint and carefully painted yellow spots all over the lizard's back. The parenti was delighted with the result. He admired the spots and was very pleased. Then it was the lizard's turn. He dipped his stick into dark paint and painted stripes across the numbat's back. But the numbat wasn't happy with the way it looked. He thought the plain stripes were boring and he didn't like them at all. Frustrated, the numbat scooped up a handful of red sand and tossed it over his back. The fine red dust stuck to his fur, covering the dark stripes and making them stand out. And from that day on, the numbat has had a red back with dark stripes running down it, a reminder of that playful, slightly grumpy afternoon with his old camping friend. If you ever find yourself in the tropical rainforests of New Guinea or far northeastern Australia, don't just look down for kangaroos. Look up. The elusive tree kangaroo, a member of the Dendrolagus genus, is adapted for an arboreal lifestyle and spends much of its time in the treetops. If you haven't heard of tree kangaroos before, it might be because the red kangaroo has stolen the spotlight, or because all tree kangaroo species are classified as threatened or endangered. Compared to their more famous relative, they have longer and broader hind feet with curved claws for climbing. The largest species measure just over 30 inches in body length and have tails even longer than those of red kangaroos. Most tree kangaroos weigh around 20 pounds, though the biggest can exceed 30, with males typically being larger than females. In the wild, they can live up to 15-20 years, and sometimes even longer in captivity. One species, the dingizo, could easily be mistaken for a dark koala with a tail, especially to the untrained eye. Tree kangaroos occupy both lowland and mountainous regions, leaping from tree to tree and navigating the canopy with impressive agility. However, they do have to watch out for predators like pythons, which are also fond of the treetops. Despite their life in the trees, tree kangaroos are still kangaroos, and like their terrestrial cousins, they carry their joeys in a pouch. When they leap between trees, their jumps can reach up to 30 feet, and astonishingly, they've been recorded jumping down to the ground from heights of 59 feet. On the forest floor, though, they move awkwardly, hopping with a clumsy gait that's about the speed of a slow human walk. Their heavy tail helps them balance, forcing them to lean forward as they go. Their diet is mostly gathered from the treetops, leaves, fruits and flowers, though they've occasionally been seen scavenging on the ground. Despite there being at least 14 known species of tree kangaroo, they remain little known and poorly studied, making them one of Australia and New Guinea's most mysterious marsupials. The wombat used to have a tail, and we'll get to how he lost it. But first, let's go through the cold, hard facts. Like the others in this video, the wombat is one of Australia's true natural gems. Measuring up to 40 inches long, weighing nearly 90 pounds and reaching speeds of almost 25 miles per hour, this marsupial is no joke. And if they choose to stay and fight, there are reports of them leaving humans with serious flesh wounds. A group of wombats is charmingly known as a wisdom, though you might also hear them called a mob or colony. There are 3 species in total, the rarest being the northern hairy-nosed wombat, and it's critically endangered. All species share a surprising trait. They glow under ultraviolet light, showing biofluorescence. Wombats are believed to descend from a prehistoric ancestor weighing up to 790 pounds, which went extinct around 40,000 years ago. That said, the details of their evolutionary history are still debated among experts. Unlike the numbat, the wombat does have a pouch, and in a clever evolutionary twist, it's backward-facing. This keeps it from filling with dirt, while the wombat digs with its powerful front claws and teeth. They create complex burrow systems, and according to one popular myth, they can crush foxes with their titanium-grade rear ends while defending their tunnels. Dingoes and Tasmanian devils are natural predators, and when threatened, wombats block the entrance with their reinforced rumps, backed by strong legs and surprising force. Usually quiet, wombats can make a variety of sounds, from pig-like squeals to grunts, clicks and other unexpected noises. Their diet, mostly bark and roots, is tough to digest, so they've developed an extremely slow digestive system. It can take up to 14 days for food to fully pass through. This slow journey is also the secret behind their famous cube-shaped poop. One scientist explained it best. By the time it comes out, they've been sitting on it so long the exit just isn't strong enough to mold it back into a round shape. As strange as it sounds, these cubes serve a purpose. Wombats use them to mark their territory, and the peculiar shape earned researchers the 2019 IG Nobel Prize in Physics. Of course, science isn't the only explanation when it comes to wombats. There's also a story, a much older one, that says they once had a tail. And here's how that went. Long ago, in the time of the dreaming, when the animals walked like people and shared the land as one, the kangaroo and the wombat were the best of friends. Koim the kangaroo was tall and strong, a great jumper and full of life. Wareen the wombat was solid and wise, a great digger and quiet in his ways. They hunted together, shared their meals, and helped each other through the seasons. When winter came, the winds turned cold and rain soaked the earth. Wareen, being clever and prepared, had dug himself a warm, deep burrow. Inside, he built a fire and curled up safely underground, dry and comfortable, while the storm howled above. One bitter, wet day, Coim came bounding through the bush, shivering, his fur dripping with rain. He made his way to Warreen's burrow and called down, "Brother, it's freezing! Let me come into your burrow and dry myself by the fire." But Warreen, warm and dry and not wanting to share his space, called back, "There's no room for two. Go find your own shelter." Coim was stunned. Hurt turned to anger. "After all we've shared, you would leave me out here in the cold?" They argued fiercely, their voices rising like thunder. In his rage, Coim struck Warreen with his stone axe and chopped off the end of his tail. Warreen cried out in pain, and as Coim turned to flee, Warreen grabbed his hunting spear and hurled it with all his strength. The spear struck Coim in the lower back and stuck fast. Coim ran, but the spear would not come out. Over time, it became part of him, a long, strong tail that helped him balance and leap across the land. And Warreen? His tail never grew back. From that day on, wombats were left with only a little stump, a reminder of the fight and the friendship lost.